Here for the panel prior?
We were in another room, but we were able to watch some of it on the TV.
Okay. I'm going to start with you, Mr. K. I'll just say Mr. K. Is that all right? Or you go ahead and tell me how to pronounce it.
You can say Kahan Gama.
Kahan Gama. Okay. Do you trust the government to censor American speech?
Respectfully, Congressman, the Department of Homeland Security does not censor content.
Okay. Did you hear Mr. Schellenberger's evidence about how our government was using some of its institutions and organizations to censor the speech of Americans on social media? Were you here for that?
I saw the hearing, the first part, yes.
Okay. So are you arguing that that wasn't censorship?
I'm not familiar with what exactly you're referencing.
Okay, well, he had emails going from our government to social media platforms flagging and requesting the removal of social media posts. Do you classify that as censorship?
So while I heard the testimony, Mr. Schellenberger, I haven't reviewed the specific documents that you are referencing, so I can't speak to the veracity of them.
Okay, well, let's just go general then. Do you think that it's censorship for the federal government to be reaching out to social media platforms and asking them to remove postings from American citizens?
Thank you, Congressman. I would reiterate that the Department of Homeland Security does not engage in content moderation conversations with social media companies.
Okay, that's not what I asked you. Okay, do you study history, Mr. K?
Generally.
Generally, okay. What about you, ma'am, Ms. Harrington? Generally?
Generally.
Okay. Typically, what types of governments censor their own people? Go ahead. Either of you.
Authoritative
Yeah.
dictatorship.
Sir?
Yeah, I would agree.
Do totalitarian governments do that? Yes, no? It's not hard.
Broadly, yes.
Do communistic governments do that? Socialistic governments do that? Why do you think they do that? Why do they think that they try and control the speech of their own people? Ma'am, Ms. Harrington? Yes?
Yes, I think that's correct. Probably political control.
Yeah, absolutely. Mr. K?
Yeah, I would agree.
Do you think it's important that we try not to become like them?
I believe this government is not like them. I believe we are respectful of our constitutional rights. We ensure that all the work that we are doing is protected by our civil liberties and civil rights offices, and we do that with respect to all of our freedoms, including...
Well, thank you, but I would actually respectfully disagree with that point of view. As a matter of fact, if you were paying attention to some of the evidence produced in the last panel, you would know that. As somebody who's involved in law enforcement, that was evidence, sir. That's what any law enforcement officer would consider evidence. Those emails going from our government to social media platforms, flagging and requesting the removal of posts and speech from American citizens. So you can sit there and you can give me all the little canned answers you want, but when you actually open your mind and are willing to look at the evidence being presented, it's obvious. Now, this shouldn't be a partisan issue. We all know that on this panel. It shouldn't be a Democrat or Republican issue. It should be, are we willing to become like other totalitarian governments, communistic governments, socialistic governments that censor the speech of our own people? And I hope you two take this very seriously, because I'm sure that many of the people that have participated in some of these communistic, totalitarian governments in history felt like they were doing the right thing. And so I hope that you guys take this very seriously, and I hope you take our Constitution very seriously and free speech, because I'll tell you this, it is most important to protect free speech, not when you agree with people, but when you disagree with them. Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back in the chair's discretion. We'll do another round of questioning for the witnesses, so I'll recognize myself for 5 minutes. Ms. Harrington.
Mr. Chairman, if I might, perhaps the chair could do another round of questions.
You don't care to?
If I do have some time constraints.
No
I-
one, no
I-
one, no
I
one has to
certainly-
stay. No
I-
one has to stay, and we're not going to be long, but I've got another 5 minutes, and you
Yes,
don't
sir.
have to stay.
Yeah, no objection to that. No objection to that.
All right, good. Thanks, sir. And it's at the election of every member whether they have further questions they want to ask. And so the chair will ask 5 minutes of questioning. If you'll restore my time to 5 minutes, please. Ms. Harrington, you've referenced a number of times that CISA operates a rumor control website where you correct things you've identified that are misinformation. You understand from the prior testimony and the questions of members, no one has an objection to CISA having a website publishing what it contends are corrections of rumors that are false, right? You understand that?
Yes.
Do you understand what the committee is concerned about in terms of CISA's prior conduct? Or do you find, are you unaware of the subject matter that we're concerned about?
I am aware. I'm aware of what you're concerned about, censorship, essentially. I'm aware of that.
Okay. And do I understand your testimony previously be that CISA really hasn't changed its policies to avoid censoring?
Representative, respectfully, we don't censor.
Okay.
I can tell you what we are doing.
Okay, now, hold on a second. So, do you know what switchboarding is?
I am, was made familiar with that
Okay.
recently.
Did-
I was not at the agency when that.
Okay, I'm really talking about CISA, not really talking about specific to your career. Obviously, you're here as a representative of CISA. Did CISA switchboard?
Yes, but please allow me to
Is-
explain what I understand that.
Well, I just want to know what,
Was.
because I understand we may get lost in exactly what switchboarding kind of includes, but you have a notion in your mind of what it is. Is CISA continuing to switchboard?
CISA is not switchboarding. CISA is not sending emails on behalf of election officials from both parties to social media companies. That is not happening.
When did CISA stop switchboarding?
My understanding, although it predates me, is that CISA stopped after the 20 cycle.
Why did it stop?
Representative, respectfully, again, this predates me, but my understanding is that CISA makes decisions to prioritize efforts based on where the most impact is and to align resources with priorities, and that was an agency decision. Again, that predates me, but my understanding is it stopped and it is no longer happening now, and it stopped in the 20 cycle.
See, my concern is if CISA stopped switchboarding because it thought switchboarding was a questionable practice or one that was exceedingly disapproved of, then that might satisfy me more. But what I understand you're saying is it's simply a resource allocation or prioritization determination, so you could resume switchboarding next week if you want to. Is that what you think?
Representative, respectfully, I understand that was an agency decision. Again, it predates me, and that activity is not occurring.
Yeah, but that's not what I asked you. I asked you whether you believe it to be true that CISA could resume switchboarding next week.
Representative, again, switchboarding is not occurring, and that stopped in the 20 cycle. Forwarding emails to social media, a limited number of emails from both parties to social media companies is not happening.
You would agree with me, would you not, that there's no reason that Congress shouldn't restrict CISA's authority to make sure that it cannot switchboard, since you're not doing it, right?
Representative, we are not censoring.
So we can provide that in law, make sure that that's a clear guardrail, correct?
Representative, respectfully, it's already in law.
Oh, really?
That we shouldn't censor, it's the First Amendment.
You shouldn't switchboard. I agree. I mean, that you've kind of hit the nail on the head with that
We are
last
not
statement.
censoring.
Because the problem
CISA
is...
doesn't censor.
The problem is whether switchboarding is censoring. And I think you just conflated the two, which is exactly the problem. Let me ask this question. Is CISA meeting on a regular basis with social media platforms?
CISA does not meet with social media platforms.
You said does not. Did it meet with social media platforms on a periodic basis?
I understand that it was meeting with